My name is Stephanie Ryder. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a licensed professional counselor. I'm licensed in multiple states across the United States.
And so, what are some of those states that you're licensed in?
I am primarily in the East. I'm in Indiana, Virginia, South Carolina, Florida, but I'm also in Colorado and New Mexico, and Michigan is currently pending.
So, tell me a little bit about what your experience has been with TRICARE. Maybe, I don't know how far back you want to go, but as soon as it feels important to start.
Of course, of course. So, as I kind of go through this, I want to start with the fact that this is about lives. I've been seeing veterans for a long time. My father is a Vietnam War veteran, so I'm very motivated to help and empower in any way that I can. What I want to highlight here, if that's okay, is that what we need to know is with veterans, according to the Department of Veteran Affairs, there's an average of 17.6 veteran suicides a day, and that's 2022. I don't know a single military service member personally or professionally who hasn't been affected by suicide in some way. Trauma really is par for the course here. What we know in the field of psychology about PTSD originated in research conducted with veterans and military members in the 70s, largely Vietnam War veterans. So this is what we're talking about. Not just paperwork, not just checks, not just claims. They are part of it. But what we're talking about are the military service members, past, present, and future. So in terms of my experience with TRICARE, I've worked a lot in community mental health. A lot of times that TRICARE is covered through there. So I was able to stay separate from that for a long time. When I started getting involved in private practices, you become more active in the process. So TRICARE has always been an imperfect system when I've worked in it. I've actually attempted to resign from TRICARE before, and they didn't honor it. But their systems were different back then. It seemed like when we called and expressed concerns about things, because I'm certainly not the only one in those practices, but when we called and expressed concern, there seemed to be a genuine desire to rectify that, to resolve that. Now we're seeing this odd doubling down. And I know that this is a controversial word, but there is almost like this systemic gaslighting that's happening. And so that's really driven my desire to withdraw from TRICARE and TriWest.
So, what was or what were some of the larger issues that you were facing with TRICARE and the region that you're in?
Oh gosh, there are so many things to name. I mean, there have constantly been reimbursement issues, recoupment interruptions, is what the website likes to say. In fact, the Humana military website, I'm less familiar with the TriWest one, but on the east side, the Humana military website has been, it's been displaying an error for recoupment services interrupted since mid-January. So we can't access information through claims. We can't identify claim status. When you're in private practice, you are the point of contact for your clients. And so they come back, hey, what's going on with my claim? I'm seeing this has been denied. I'm not getting a copy of the explanation of benefits. So a lot of what happens here is then there becomes this rift that can rupture some relationships. And that TRICARE is largely saying, well, we're not doing this. We're not paying the provider because they're doing it wrong. They're submitting the information incorrectly. And then when we call TRICARE, their statement is, well, I don't know what's going on. This is so unusual. Well, thousands of providers are dealing with this. In North Carolina, there is a major network that's gone bankrupt because of this. So all of these things in consideration. And when you express your concerns, or I should say, when I've expressed my concerns, it's met with copy paste responses. There's not really an acknowledgement. Again, when the clients call, they're getting, oh, your therapist is incompetent. She doesn't know how to do this. When I call, it's like, wow, this is so strange. I don't know what's going on. And you get thrown into a dead end of calls. I know there was one particular day I called and I got sent to an internal Humana, what was it, like a tech support line. And they're like, we can't help you. I'm like, okay.
So, how long were you with TRICARE before you finally decided to withdraw?
Yeah. Um, when you're part of the larger hospital systems, they do a lot of the credentialing for you. So I think overall, because of being involved in those larger hospital systems, it's been 15 years that I've been seeing veterans in some capacity. Moving to private practice, that was closer to 2022. And that practice, I'm actually really worried about them. They see only TRICARE, only veteran affairs referrals, and private pay. So those practices have to be completely, well, struggling, I would assume, as a result of that. My private practice, I set up and started in about 2022, handled with TRICARE in 2022, 2023, particularly in the West and other states in the East region as well. So this has been a hot minute.
And so I'm guessing you were one of the groups that did not see payment once that transition happened on January 1st of this year.
No, I've actually been in the group that's been really delayed. I've gotten no communication whatsoever about what's going on other than when I call, well, I don't know what's happening. This is so strange. This past week, and keep in mind, I actually resigned March 14th. But this week I got notice that one person's claim was denied. What was it? It was because they aren't hospice. Like I'm a therapist. We don't offer hospice services. And that's a common claim denial that we're seeing. There's some sort of error with, I think the billing is PGBA in the East region. And so, yeah, we're seeing denials for very strange reasons. There's, the one that I looked over today, it specifically was like, oh, if you want more details, look at the back of the sheet. There's no back of the sheet. Go check the explanation of benefits. Recoupment center is down. So I can't access any of that. And when I call, there are no answers.
And so what was the final straw for you before you just said you can't do this anymore for the good of your practice, you're withdrawing?
Yeah, it was a hard decision to make. I think the final straw was I had uh, especially some newer individuals who weren't as familiar with me how long I've been doing this. I used to work in utilization review, so I used to fight insurance for a living, essentially is how I joke about that. Getting authorization for services. So I kind of know how this works. Every year there have been issues with TRICARE. At the start of the year, they purge clients saying, their system is non-compliant. I think the last straw was having clients come back and they're like, yeah, they're saying that you're doing it wrong. You're the one making the errors. And that has the potential to really rupture rapport with clients. And I don't want insurance to ever be something that sets us back in terms of our progress.
So you did say it was not an easy decision for you to make. How has that been knowing that you kind of had to tell a group of clients who really need a service that you're offering that you can't take the insurance that they have for no fault of their own?
Yeah, that's actually a really wonderful question. And I appreciate that question. It's been hard. I mean, some of these people I had started with at a practice, there was a non-compete at that practice. So we had to take a year break. I referred them on and they came back after a year after that non-compete had expired. So we had this great rapport, this great relationship. And to tell them, like, we're going to have to switch things up. I mean, there are other options. Technically, I'm still certified with TRICARE for the time being. And, they pay up front. They get reimbursed from TRICARE. But I hate, then I'm loading the labor onto them that I can't even manage. It's just not sustainable for either one of us. And so it has been heartbreaking. It's hard.
And so, what's one thing? Because the whole point of doing this is trying to get answers. What's going on? Where is the mistake happening? If you could talk to some of the executives at TRICARE and say, this is what needs to be fixed, what would you say?
Um, Perfect question. In all honesty, I think it's look, I would ask them to look over the system and I would ask them, if these are things that are happening globally, why are you putting out statements saying that these things aren't happening? What's the actual motivation here? And let's be upfront about it. Communicate with your service members. This is a benefit that they have earned. They have earned through blood, sweat, tears, quite literally. they deserve an explanation. If you're not going to explain it to providers, explain it to the people that you owe this to.
So I was sent a statement by TriWest, and I actually want to hear your response to it. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to pull it up here. Okay. So it says essentially that TriWest has processed more than $6 million in Tricare claims, totaling $830 million, including 167,000 autism claims. They are actively processing and paying claims for dates of service in 26 states. As challenges with referrals, authorizations, or claims arise, their team is dedicated to diligently solving issues impacting beneficiaries and providers, and that they're confident in their ability to get this right because of their successful partnership. Do you feel that commitment to solving issues?
I don't. I don't. I I think that's an impressive statement to make, but they're also not highlighting that a lot of these checks, that if they are being processed, are being sent to random PO boxes out of South Carolina. Someone in one of the therapist groups that I follow for specifically TRICARE and TriWest support, and this is certainly not the first time I've seen this, that's why it caught my eye, but they're based out of Hawaii and all of their checks are being sent to South Carolina. There is absolutely an interruption happening here. And I think again, I'm going to double down on that. You owe it to service members, past, present, future, to explain what the lived experience is going on.
Stephanie, is there anything that you want to say or add that I haven't already asked you?
Not necessarily. I think I want to highlight that all of those statements, what they're identifying very impressive numbers. The numbers are very impressive. However, we need to be focused on service members. We need to be focused on veterans. The consequences of challenging the mission of providers and livelihoods. This is challenging for us, but ultimately it's the service members that lose in this. And I would just like people to consider that, especially people in positions of power.
If there isn't anything else, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.